also means recognizing the challenges that make it hard for Mary, nearly impossible for Florida, like wage disparities and child care and reproductive health and discrimination and harassment. Until all these barriers are moved out of their way, women will only be able to lean so far. At our table, 4 women who know what they're talking about. Katrina Vanden Heuvel, the editor and publisher of The Nation. Valerie Kaur is a writer and filmmaker and a fellow at Auburn Seminary. Joy Reid, the managing editor for thegrio.com. And Kat Cole, the president of Cinnabon Incorporated, the food chain that operates more than 1,000 franchise locations in 52 countries worldwide. All right, ladies, it's everywhere. What are we to make of this book and of the debate that it has sparked? Socialization. She's like, let me help other people. And it may not be the most complex, but it's also like not Steve Jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think one of the biggest challenges in addressing injustices is this concept of access. And the largest criticism that I've read about Cheryl is that she has all the access in the world and that the everyday woman does not have that. And instead of criticizing that, maybe we should build a bridge from her story to others that lack the access and highlight those incredible women leaders that don't have all the access but are still doing great things, that are paving the way for their daughters and their children and their families to have education, that are creating great social movements in their communities that help to elevate other women leaders. I'm on the board of directors of this group called the Women's Food Service Forum. And when I was growing up as a 20-year-old in emerging corporate America, I had a bunch of men that I was working with. I didn't have examples of what was possible in my company, but there are groups and movements in society that allow young women to see what's possible. And we shouldn't fall to a book that highlights what is possible, but we should try to fill in the gap between this woman on high to the everyday.
And we're just starting, I promise. A lot more on exactly this. We are leaning in. Lots of ladies at the table when we come back. That is that question of like, what is the fundamental thing that we are talking about when we are talking about corporate America, and can women change that thing so that we value life as much as we do profit?
Women can absolutely change that thing. The reality is structure dictates function, and women do have to change the structure, but one woman can't do it. Women have to do it together. We have to build a bridge between those who are in the corporate elite group that seem to have all the access in the world and young women who are coming up. We have to bookend this argument. We have to bookend the activity. Start at global economic forum levels, Davos, you know, global governments, but also start at elementary schools and high schools and fundamentally change the structure of organizations, the work schedule, time, the quality of work, not the quantity.
Part of what's interesting about the mentoring piece, I mean, part of what you're talking about here is I do think we tend to think women have to mentor other women. And one of Sandberg's clear points is that it was Larry Summers and a variety of men who already had access to power who helped to bring her along. And it felt to me like that was in part saying, men, this is your responsibility to diversify this workforce.
Right, and I think that women harm themselves when they wait around for only a woman mentor.
That was Facebook COO Sheryl Sandberg giving the 2011 commencement address at Barnard College. And we're back wading into the conversation about women in work that has been reignited by Sandberg's new book, Lean In. But I do want to show that she's talking about something real when she's talking about women in power, particularly in corporate power. When you look overall at the percentage of women in executive office positions, board seats, and even elected congressional officials, at every point you're talking about fewer than 20% of those positions being held by women. And when you look at women of color, abysmal numbers, less than 5%. And also when you look at compensation, although the wage gap has narrowed for women since 1970, it has only narrowed. It has not closed, at 59 cents per dollar. Now compared to 77 cents, but still not dollar for dollar. So, Kat, I want to ask you about this because Valerie said to us a moment ago, when every woman can live the good life. And it seems to me that part of the challenge here is saying, if we turn these numbers into 50-50, would that constitute success? You're a woman in corporate America. You've come up through Hooters first, and now through Cinnabon. And I might say, Hooters is sexist, Cinnabon is bad for our health, and so, you know, I want women to not participate in these things. I don't want to make us 50% of them.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I don't think 50% 20% is enough. There's proof that when women are involved in leadership teams, when you have gender diverse leadership, that the corporation's financial success is higher. The argument is there for gender diverse leadership, no matter what the concept, whether it's a sweet treat company or a church congress or any society group. Women make a positive difference leading. And in fact, women have the skills today that are so critical for leading effective businesses, particularly collaboration, cross-functional, cross-generational collaboration. And for me, I did grow up in the Hooters organization. I was the only female executive on the team. But interestingly, every boss I ever had in that company was a woman.
That's interesting.
Every boss. I grew up in a single-parent household. I saw a powerful woman who worked 2 jobs. My mom started out as Flo and ended up as Mary. And it was an interesting transition to watch. I'm the oldest of 3 girls. I have been surrounded by seeing strong women. And I think companies, in order to see this change, this less than 20% get to 50 and beyond, you've got to get women on corporate boards, because the women who are moving up need advocates and sponsors and individuals to provide them access and opportunity. And if the boardroom is full of men, we're never going to reach the tipping point that's going to make this difference.
So I